a special edition live of the Interjections podcast, our subtitle, Undiscovered Decade. This is a review of the past year. We're going to be talking about the best of 1990, and we're going to pretty much look at how we felt about the first year of the podcast. We'd love to hear from you at the end in the comments section and everything, see what your favorite episodes were or whatnot. But right now we're going to go through, and what I had the other three members of our podcast do was give me their top 5 choices for the year. It doesn't have to be from the episode's main focus. And what I did was have a Bondra account. I didn't know what this was called, but it's apparently named after, let me check my notes, the 18th century French mathematician Jean-Charles Bondra apparently came up with this. This is how they tally the MLB's MVP every year. People will vote on the best players of the year, and they get a certain amount of points. So if our number 1 choice, our favorite film, gets 5 points, our 5th favorite choice gets 1. So we tally it all together, and they get a certain amount of points. That being said, the reason I bring this up and specify is because our last 3 were all ties, so there are technically 6, but we'll get to that in a second.
Well, you handle the math.
Yeah.
This is
you're the designated nerd.
Yeah,
so
it's
you got this.
sabermetrics. Yeah. So this is thrilling to me. So the first thing I wanted to do was tell the folks at home there were other films that got points that were lower in our list, so I'm just going to run through those so you know that we appreciated them. So from least to right before 6, there was RoboCop 2, Gremlins 2, Back to the Future 3, Quick Change, Predator 2, and Dick Tracy. Those were the films that we all enjoyed but didn't quite make the top 5. And finally, since it was technically the 4th and 5th place, they were on multiple lists, and the 6th place film that tied with those two was only on my list, I decided to take that out, and I'll just say Ghost was 6th place, but it tied with these. So
not Ghost Dad.
No.
Okay.
No one picked Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad, such a great film.
It came pretty close, though.
Right for rediscovery.
Yeah. I am happy that it made it up there, but obviously that was my number 1 film. Everyone else's number 1 got in. So that's really the reason I wanted to say something about it, but honestly it was, I talked about it enough in July when it came out, so I'm happy. But number 5, we can go right into that, is Tremors. Our very first film we talked about. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about how our first episode went.
I mean,
think all the way back to June.
Yeah, no, that was a while back.
I'm having some flashbacks right now because this is a trial run of a new format.
Yep.
So that's why everything's all out of frame here.
And we're all nervous.
Yeah, no, it's just it's weird seeing your faces not on a screen.
All of the camera operators are on the couch. So
yeah. This is really the first time I've looked at you guys all together, I think, since 2018, really?
Yeah.
Maybe sometime in 2019.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that episode, we all had specialized arenas of knowledge. So, like, Jeff was the theater person, you were video games and miscellaneous. History.
He was history,
you were TV.
Yeah. We thought we were going to go into different things every month from what would happen per month, and then we realized there weren't ever always historical events that were significant.
No, and then, like, if we were gonna like stick to our own little personal categories, and like it would just like not leave a whole lot of room for the other person to interject.
Right. And like with Jeff, there weren't always new releases on Broadway, and that's always specific to New York, so it doesn't really exemplify the entire American experience. Everyone goes to the theater or movie theater.
And like,
since we're
talking about films that came out in 1990. In 1990, I was all the way down in Tennessee, so like the whole Broadway thing, I was not relatable to me at all. Like, theater wasn't really a thing. Like,
backwater bumpkin.
I mean, yeah, we had a local theater, like the Roxy, but like that was the Roxy. It was like local theater, blah blah blah. So
that's cool. I never knew that.
Yeah, no,
we never talked about like
no. Usually that was a thing. Like either maybe a holiday or two, I had gone there, and like there was a couple of school trips there, but like theater wasn't really a big deal.
Yeah, I guess around here we always went. Jeff and I in New Jersey would go up to Broadway if ever there was something special. Even in our area, there's the George Street Playhouse, but I didn't go there till I was 25.
Yeah, I mean, our parents were big into theater, and so like we went to Broadway shows and like did community shows and all that stuff. So, you know, we were fortunate in that regard, but not a lot of people like were doing that. But I remember also at one point in the beginning, I was assigned the music category.
That's right.
And I don't listen to music outside of like show tunes and electro swing. So that was tough. I mean, it definitely expanded my horizons a little bit, but not enough to sustain that format.
We pretty quickly realized that wouldn't actually be sustainable to have separate things for every person.
Yeah.
I wanted everyone to contribute in a specific way every month, but
there was also like a extra extra research we'd had to do.
Yeah.
At least like with what we evolved into, like it's easier to like, watch the movies that we picked for each month, and like
even if it's just one.
Yeah, and just kind of like essentially like roll with it because like it's our individual takes on them, and like also remembering if we'd seen them when we were younger, like bringing that into the which will get easier as we go along, because at this point I think you were only even 5, so that was the oldest person in 1990. As we get to stuff in 93, I think we'll all start having seen it
actually
in the theater.
Remembering
seeing
it.
Because I think the first movie I saw in theaters is in 91, so it'll start next year. We're even covering it for one of the months. So
it's funny because there are people, when I tell them about this podcast, they're like, but you weren't even alive then. I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah, it's undiscovered decade.
We had not experienced it yet. Yeah. And so we're trying to, you know, through the lens of adulthood and film school nonsense, and trying, you know, like, we have a new appreciation for it, for the ones that we have seen, and for the ones we hadn't seen, it's, you know, it's about time that we saw them anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially like Tremors. I hadn't seen Tremors. I know you hadn't seen Tremors, Jeff, right?
I hadn't, no.
Yeah, but you guys had seen it a while back. I don't know the last time you did, Corey.
Yeah, it's been a few years since I'd seen it. This would not be even in my top 30 of the year.
Really?
No.
So it wasn't yours. I tallied this 2 weeks ago, so I don't remember which top 5s they were in, but I will be having at the end of the podcast, we'll have on the video portion, we'll put up the top 5 for all 4 of us, so we'll see which one. I don't remember if any of you had Tremors as your number 1. I think it just was in 2 of ours.
Yeah, no, it was definitely...
I don't even remember my own.
It was in the top 5.
My top 5, for sure, because like I almost religiously watched it as a kid, but not because I was like, ooh, gotta watch Tremors. It was because it was on and I enjoyed it enough to like, I'll just stick around for this. I know how this ends, but like I enjoy it.
Yeah, I do recall it being on USA quite a bit.
Yeah, it was sci-fi a lot too. Before it became sci-fi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if my first even made it in. So we'll see.
Your number 1?
Yeah, my number 1 pick.
Your 3 number 1s are definitely in this list.
Really?
They'll come up, but I don't remember exactly how we tallied this. Yeah. I wish I.
Tristan's got. Do you have like the big glittery envelope? We're gonna do that for next time.
It is this one note card.
Love it.
So, however, I will say that it's kind of interesting when we're recording this back in. Is this March still? Yeah, it's March.
Yeah.
They just came out with a new commercial where Kevin Bacon and Michael Gross reunited to sell something. Right. So that's kind of funny. It keeps popping up in our lives. Like,
there was a new
season last year. Anniversary of everything. So all these like
So
Arrow just put out a new deluxe release of the Blu-ray.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an annuity, especially for Gross.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that's keeping him in show business right now. I don't see him in anything else.
Yeah.
Keep those Tremors royalties coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was Michael J. Fox's dad on the Family Ties, right?
Right, yeah.
But that's really the 2 things we know him from. He popped up on How I Met Your Mother back like 15 years ago as Ted's dad, but... Oh.
Yeah,
our generation wouldn't
real
really
relevant.
Yeah, that's not even relevant anymore.
Yeah.
So, a lot of good people in that, though. If you want to see the episode, we talked about it much more, but I really grew to appreciate Fred Ward from that, and then the other film we saw him in,
Miami Blues.
Yeah, that starred Alec Baldwin.
Oh yeah,
Jason Leigh.
That that movie that actually turned out to be a Western.
Yeah.
Which was not on any of our top fives. I swore it might have ended up on Jimmy's, but I think you switched at the last second for RoboCop 2.
No. Like with my top five, I went with like movies that I definitely for sure like loved as a kid. I mean, I love Miami Blues, but like I didn't like love it till like recently.
You didn't grow up with it?
Yeah, I didn't grow up with it. So like the movies that I picked were like things that are like oh my god damn.
Special guest.
It's so creepy. What were the worms called?
We're keeping that in there.
That was. I just got interjected by the cat. Oh my god.
You're keeping this in the end.
What was I talking about?
You're talking about your childhood. And
with my top five, I went with the movies that like I for sure like knew that I loved in the 90s at that time. So like again, like Miami Blues was like a recent favorite now.
Yeah, if we did
yeah. But if we did like a different kind of like top 5 picks,
it's interesting because what I was going to say,
I would definitely throw that in there.
With Tremors, it was a new film to me, and I put it in my top 5. I'm pretty sure it's 4 or 5 for me. So it's interesting. You just went with your nostalgia. I went with whatever I'd seen from 1990. Like Ghost was in there from when I was a child, but I got to see it again for this. So let's, I guess, move on to number 4. And this one, I believe, was in 2 of ours. Again, it's in my list, but I'm pretty sure this was in Corey's. Jacob's Ladder also had 5 points. Yeah. So I think this became my... I think this was my number 3, so it would have had 3 points. So you would have had it in 4th place, maybe?
I would think so. Yeah, I think so.
That I remember.
Yeah, no. If that's another one of those movies. If I had like a separate list of like separate from like nostalgia, but like just pure like movie goodness, Jacob's Ladder for sure.
See, the weird thing is, I think I saw it when I was a kid.
And
really?
Yeah, over at my friend Brad's house.
That explains a lot.
Right? Yeah. That's the way you are now. Of course, we can't go in too much because Jeff didn't get to see it, but
that's okay.
We don't have to spoil it.
It's been long enough.
We talked.
We were going to rename this the We Spoil Everything podcast or something.
I mean, that's what Corey and I would always do with our other
that's true.
version of interjections.
So if you haven't seen these movies, then you're SOL because we're just going to talk about it like in explicit detail.
Yeah. We don't have to go into too much detail with Jacob's Ladder, but it's something that focuses on trauma after war and psychological
or during
horror
war.
And everything. And it was, I mentioned in the podcast we talked about it, it was something that Corey had just watched before we bonded over getting to explore our area around college. So it's special for both of us, just because in my head it was like, this is the thing Corey had in his head when we became friends. So so it's good to know after, almost 17 years that we've been friends, we finally come together with this movie.
Right, yeah.
So...
also, I think it's a great showcase to show that Adrian Link can do more than erotic thrillers.
Yeah.
Although there is some eroticism in this.
Oh, well, yeah.
Lovecraftian.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a couple sex scenes.
I forgot about that. Thank you for putting that image back in my head.
Yep. What else was he famous for? I know Unfaithful.
Fatal Attraction.
Right, which I've never seen.
And he's got one coming out with Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas this year, I believe.
Which is funny, given they were like the poster childs of the pandemic for celebrities. We got to see them go get their coffee all the time. Yeah. I don't know why they were the ones that kept coming up. It's like,
it was mostly Affleck I saw in those pictures.
Well, because he was hanging out with Ana de Armas. So.
Good for him.
Yeah. Oh, well. I really like Jacob's Ladder. I don't know if it's become my favorite horror film, because we would consider it more of a thriller.
Yeah, it's definitely a thriller. More than horror.
Yeah.
Psychological thriller.
Yeah. But I mean, you saw it around Halloween back in 2004, so that's what it was in my head for all these years. I thought it was going to be more of a horror.
It's got more depth than the premise would have you to believe.
Yeah. One of Tim Robbins' finest roles, and I knew him from Shawshank Redemption when that comes out, so it's nice to see he was already doing pretty well a few years before that.
Weird side note, it's funny to see that Jason Alexander plays another sleazy character in a 90s movie aside from Pretty Woman.
Right, which was not on any of our lists.
Yeah.
Though I did appreciate it again, getting to watch it, so.
Came pretty close. I did enjoy that.
Yeah? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That was a hectic month for you. I apologize for March.
So, it's all right.
3 movies highlighted that.
Yeah,
we're still working it out.
Yeah, we learned from that. Not to pack everything in.
We're adapting the format.
Right.
We gotta spread it out and enjoy
We're
it.
finding our way.
Yeah.
Right.
Life finds a way.
I am glad that we started to figure out that we should focus on what we had titled it, the Undiscovered Decade. Finding something that was like a hidden gem.
That's why Tremors was a good one to start out
especially.
with.
Yeah.
Because it's like a cult classic, but I don't know if the public in general know about it.
Maybe not at the time. Yeah. I think it's grown because of the franchise it has.
Right, yeah.
What were the TV shows and everything?
One TV show.
But yeah, like Jacob's Ladder's kind of gone off the radar. Everyone's like, what is that? And there was a remake 2 years ago with Michael Ealy that was not any good or any different, really, right?
I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I refused to.
I didn't even know there was a remake.
I like
exactly.
Michael
It went
Ealy's.
direct to DVD.
Oh, did it? Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of like the Flatliners remake that happened.
Oh, I was aware of that.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a series of that? Like, didn't they turn it into a TV series for
Flatliners?
a second? Yeah.
Maybe.
I feel like
If not,
that
they
sounds
should.
familiar.
Yeah.
Because that was a
honestly,
great
that's
movie.
a good premise to
I
probably expand on.
loved Flatliners.
Yeah?
But not enough to rank it in my top 5.
Not the new one, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, for 1990.
Yeah, for 1990.
Of course.
Yeah,
I still have to see it.
Elliot Page gave a great performance.
Yeah. Wait, did you actually like the remake?
It was
Okay.
terrible.
Well, I guess we might as well switch over to number 3, which now you'll get a chance to talk a little bit more. This, I believe, is your number 1, Edward Scissorhands. So, again, at least something else from my list, but not my number 1. But why don't you talk a little bit about what that meant to you, since it wasn't a focus of our podcast either.
You know, for years the argument has raged as whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but no one ever talks about Edward Scissorhands being
definitely
an amazing Christmas movie.
We were just talking about Batman Returns.
Yeah,
not too long ago. Definitely a Christmas movie.
That was one of those movies that got me started on my the familiar high school journey of being really into Tim Burton. So much so that I went as Halloween. I went as Edward Scissorhands for Halloween. I made like little cardboard fingers and stuff. It's a beautiful, beautiful movie. The score is amazing and like some of Danny Elfman's best work. I think
it's his best.
And
very ethereal.
And you just everything with Vincent Price in it and the contrast with the colors and it is a beautiful film.
It was priceless.
Cut.
It was. It wasn't priceless because he was in it.
Wasn't that his last movie? So technically,
yeah,
that's
the last one he's done.
I still get it.
Fair enough. We're doing puns now.
Now.
Yeah. But no, it's just a great movie, and it's one of those like I always a tear wells up and then freezes in the corner of my eye every time I watch it.
Yeah. Another one they had come back for the Super Bowl. I mentioned during the podcast when we actually had this that they had Winona Ryder come back with Timothée Chalamet to do it, but I love this. I think it's the second best movie he's done after Big Fish, but I think this was my favorite Johnny Depp role. I know he doesn't talk really at all, but this is when I started.
It's a great
seeing
silent performance.
Action is more. It's more and more. More is less, or less is more.
Minimalist.
More minimalist.
So I think this wasn't the first thing I saw Winona Ryder in, but I'm a huge fan of hers. I think she's my favorite actress. I technically saw Alien Resurrection first, so that doesn't explain why I like her, but then I think this was the next thing I saw. And so this and Lucas. Was she Lucas or Rudy? Is that Lucas?
Which movie?
In what?
Yeah, she's in Lucas, right?
Yeah, she's not.
So I saw Edward Scissorhands and Lucas back to back, and that made me a big fan of hers because she was in a lot of these similar teen movies, and this one's just kind of a coming of age, not really a coming of age story, but like a story of acceptance. And as an awkward teen who was a junior, I think when I saw this, like that hit hard. I didn't feel like Edward exactly, but that's what Tim Burton was trying to go for, like how to come out of your shell and like feel like you exist.
Yeah,
he does a lot of movies about outcasts.
It's that like outsider, outcast. being accepted and then rejected and then finding his
Strangely
way.
enough, watching the movie now, it's weird to see Anthony Michael Hall play a bully after seeing him in all those John Hughes movies where he's a nerd. But he's so good in the role.
Yeah, no, it was.
Who else was in it?
Diane Keaton.
Diane Wiest.
Wiest.
Yeah.
Wow, sorry.
All the Dianes with Oscars in the 80s. So, it's just, like you said, it's an ethereal quality of the music. It's how it feels. It feels like a dream, which is, I think, what he's trying to do. Like, it's in a snow globe almost.
Yes, it's Burton-esque. Yeah. He like, aside from his, like, horror aesthetic, he is very, like, dreamy.
Gothic, like suburbia.
Yeah, that too, yeah. Or surreal? Like, it's definitely surreal.
Lynchian.
Yeah.
I mean, all the topiaries and the ice sculptures, it's a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah. It's peak Burton. I guess because they parody him now, we think that it isn't as special as it used to be, but it's still special.
Well, that early streak of his, like Pee-wee, Batman Returns.
Beetlejuice.
Before Johnny Depp was his go-to guy.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Wood, like
Fox
all
and the
that
Hound.
stuff.
Yeah, Fox and the Hound. So number 2, I believe we all had on our list, and it helped it rise up, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, speaking of that hectic March month, was the highlight of that month. Obviously a nostalgic favorite for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't on my list.
It wasn't on your list?
No, most of us.
Have any of these been on your list yet? Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder was.
Yeah.
I'm betting number 1 was.
I think we all had 2 at least. Yeah, it is. Number 1, I think, was on all our lists.
Yeah, it would have.
Because it was, I think, so we had 5 points for Ghost, Tremors, and Jacob's Ladder, 6 for Edward Scissorhands, 7 for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and for the number 1 film we have 13 points. So,
oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I think that's why it's number 1. It's clear favorite for it.
I kind of figured that was going to be number 1.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah.
But I don't know if you want to say anything else about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, Turtles was one of those where I didn't necessarily have the nostalgia because I never saw the movie when I was a kid.
Right,
I saw the TV show, cartoons, and the games, and all of that.
That was a big part of like a lot of like kids growing up in like the 80s and 90s because like in the 80s you had the comics for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then finally
Eastman,
you had
right?
And then finally you had the movie that came out, and then just like that was like right up there for the longest time. Like it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like Power Rangers, what was it?
All the Disney afternoon stuff like Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
But like when you're talking about like
franchises?
Like boys hanging out in the backyard or on the bus, or I mean even some girls too, because like I had like a lot of tomboy friends that were like really into like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, you were always Venus once they made her, or one of them would just be a turtle.
Yeah.
So they could be kind of androgynous, I guess.
Yeah, they'd be a little androgynous, but like or pretend to be April O'Neil, like whatever, but like a little more badass. But yeah, no, like it was a very especially if you had 4 friends or 5, because one of them could be Casey Jones. Like very, very actable for like kids to play out in their backyard.
I was thinking about it before I came back to pick you up and bring you down here, Jimmy. I was thinking of how we were the Turtles. We had different masks, but I feel like you'd be the Raphael, or no, you'd be the Michelangelo because you're the jokester of the group.
And he likes pizza.
You're kind of the hothead, I guess. Not that you act out as much as Raphael.
What are you talking about?
Jeff set all these cameras up, so he's clearly Donatello, and I'm the leader, so Leonardo.
But who was the
Of course
one?
he's Leonardo.
Yeah. I think
I was the orange
I think
one,
you were
but like
Michelangelo.
who's Michelangelo?
Oh, that's Michelangelo.
Yeah, like
I will never get
the
that
podcast, I'm pretty sure I had Raphael, the red bandana.
I think it was red.
I still
orange.
have that mask.
Yeah.
It's going in my hope chest.
Rebecca picked up a piece of felt the other day.
And
she's like, I don't know where this came from, and I'm like, it's the mask that Jimmy had. It's Jimmy's eye hole.
Yeah. Those are my eye holes. Don't touch my eye holes. Those are my eye holes.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty for you.
Still floating around in our heads and apartments.
So having seen the people who've seen it as kids and then having seen it as adults, does it hold up nostalgia wise?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It makes sense with the whole like dark gritty tone of the movie. Like that's like the aesthetic that I like in my film. So like it makes sense. Growing up throughout the years, like, oh yeah, no, that's where it stemmed from.
Right.
I like my kids' shows being turned into ravenous murderers.
Yeah.
Well, that and the Batman.
Yeah.
I
And
that comes out soon
I
after
saw
the animated
Batman,
series.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Terminator 2.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
Like those were the movies that I saw like as a little kid. Probably shouldn't have, but I did.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what definitely influenced my taste today.
Not
Terminator
gonna lie,
2 more than anything else.
if I had seen this movie when I was a kid, I totally would have wanted to join Shredder's gang because
You want to be a foot soldier?
I would listen.
Look at
You get to
Danny.
like live in an arcade warehouse dance
Sam
club
Rockwell.
thing.
Yeah, the Sam Rockwell.
Yeah,
Giving you cigarettes.
exactly.
I wanted to join it too as a kid. The second film,
Wrong
which we'll talk
message.
about a little bit in '91, they had an even cooler hangout. So I think I wanted to join it then. Like there was who was the kid in that movie? Ernie Reyes, whatever his
Junior.
character was. He was really cool, and I think that's when I wanted to get in there. But I get it. Like I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted from Turtles, but. Everything was cool. I used to write my own sequels after I saw the first two.
Fan fiction.
So yeah, it was basically fan fiction, and I was the one that always put Bebop and Rocksteady in there. I didn't get that they couldn't have them for the second film.
Listen,
Like they couldn't get the rights. So
Dig those out, man.
yeah, oh, they're not good.
That's
I
what
looked at
John-
them a few years ago.
John Favreau did.
I was 6 when I wrote it, so
Who do you think watches these movies?
That's what I told myself. I would always say like, well, this isn't good dialogue, but I'm the one watching it.
Right.
So,
It's like this is for me.
I'll figure this out when I'm a grown up.
yeah. Cowabunga. I think that is cool. So, oh well. So yeah, I guess we'll.
Do you even need to look at this?
What do you
get
guys
like
think?
a giant like audio drum roll and crazy like
Yeah, we'll
glittery
have that.
graphic and
Or we have it going across. If you've noticed, we
Can
have
our-
the titles
our-
flashing across the screen. The
our
posters popping up.
$15 in VFX budget. You know?
Yeah, right. So yeah, do you guys want to judge or not judge? Guess what the first...
Will I get a prize?
Yes.
Is it Air America?
No.
Oh, it better not be
God.
quickly.
Is it?
Oh,
Is it quickly?
Quickly was my number 7.
Quickly down under.
I think it has something to do with
Oh, Roy!
a certain group of ruffians.
They're not quite bad.
They're not great.
Just a
They're
couple
not bad.
of good guys in a bad situation.
They might be pals.
Yeah. Come on.
Might be gentlemen.
I genuinely forgot.
I'm not
Why
much
don't
of
you
a
tell
I
guesser. Like,
am just.
I believe the number 1 movie is Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
There you go. See?
All my life, I always wanted to remember what this movie was about.
Yeah, we the weirdest thing was this is the biggest film of the year. It should have won Best Picture. It didn't get number 1 in the box office. That goes to Home Alone. But we
Honestly, didn't do that well.
we
at the box
slipped
office.
right through when we talked about this. I was like, yeah, you guys like Goodfellas, and you're all like, yeah. Let's move on. So
Well, it's hard
if you guys
because the
wanna
movie's
talk
been
about it
dissected
finally-
and talked about
Yeah.
to death.
I know,
And it's
but
so-
if it's our number 1, we might as well talk about it a little bit now.
Sure.
So,
It was so popular, which is why we avoided it the first time.
right.
But
You know what's pretty novel in the movie?
Hmm.
There's narration, right? But even when the narration's going, sometimes they pause the movie so that he can catch up with the narration.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the first movies I noticed that in.
yeah,
Like the freeze
Well, I think
frame.
Yeah, he does a freeze frame and then he'll talk over it.
I think Scorsese invented that format
Yeah.
because he
I
did
think
the
so,
same thing
'cause
in Wolf
he's used
of
it
Wall
before.
Street and
Well, he
like
certainly has the walk through the restaurant.
Casino has
shot.
it.
That's
Oh,
all
the
Scorsese.
Copa.
the steady
Yeah.
cam
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Copa.
I mean, just signature shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't I ask you guys this? Who was your favorite actor in the movie? Favorite performance? And we can agree. It's not like one of us has to take De Niro,
De
one of us
Niro.
gets Pesci, you know?
De Niro, probably. There's a part in that I think's so hilarious and chilling at the same time as after the Lufthansa heist. He tells everybody not to spend their money.
Mm-hmm.
And then one guy goes and gets a Cadillac. And he's apologizing. Like, I'm sorry, Jimmy. I'm sorry. And he just, like, sneers at him. And I was like, oh, just that sends chills down my spine. It's funny at the same time, but
Yeah.
the whole movie's kind of like that because it plays dueling tones.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, do you think I'm funny? Why am I funny?
Yeah.
That scene
The
goes
epitome
from
of it.
being
Like a clown.
chilling to funny at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen. Oh, that's
always
my favorite
funny.
part. When the young soprano, who's the actor that Pesci shoots? I think.
Michael Imperioli.
Yeah,
Spider.
Yeah, I forget his character in Sopranos, his name, but that's my favorite scene, I'd say. So I guess I'd have to say Pesci, because you think even after he says that you think I'm funny, he still just takes him out for no reason.
Right.
Like, that's even less of a prediction that he's going to go off the deep end. So you never know what Pesci's going to do. And then there's when he's with his mother and he's like, do you have the gloves? And she's like, yeah, I'll help you bury the body.
It's like, I need the knife. And it's like, oh, what do you need the knife for? It's like, deer got I hit a deer. Hoof got stuck.
She knows.
She knows. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like,
got one dog going this way and another dog going that way.
So yeah, I guess I'd go with Pesci.
Yeah.
Which
I'd
is
probably
easy, but
go with Leota.
Ditto.
Because
because it's the best performance he's ever given.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's also the first performance I've ever seen him in.
Something wild I saw him in before that.
My first performance that I ever saw Ray Liotta in was Grand Theft Auto Vice City, because I saw Goodfellas after that game came out.
That's funny. I actually saw a performance of his that came out in '89, right before we would have started. It was like November '89. Dominic and Eugene. Movie. It's with Tom Hulse, and Tom Hulse is a little slow, and so he takes care of him, Ray Liotta, and they see like a little bit of mischief going on in their neighborhood, and he's just taking care of him.
I always find it weird when I see Ray Liotta in like compassionate, caring roles, because I think of him in this.
Yeah. I mean, he's even better in Goodfellas, but yeah. So it was weird to see him as a kid be a nice guy, and then he becomes this villain. So you still think he's going to be nice, but he's just as bad as De Niro and Pesci. So
yeah.
Well, another example of like an actor who was great in a Scorsese movie and hasn't been as good since then, Lorraine Bracco.
I was going to bring her up because I like her performance in this, but...
Yeah, but since then, she hasn't done anything to ascend to that level again. Yeah. Even in The Sopranos, she's kind of milquetoast.
There's a reason she got an Oscar nomination for Goodfellas. So yeah, it's just a shame. She kind of got shoehorned, I guess, or pushed to the side.
Maybe typecasted a little.
Yeah, maybe typecast. Yeah. I don't know.
Like,
I don't know her filmography.
Yeah, me neither. But like, I feel like maybe like Scorsese, like it probably shows like how good of a director he is because he got what he wanted out of the actors.
He does the same thing with Sharon Stone in Casino, because I've never really cared for Sharon Stone.
Yeah, and even I'll admit she's good in that.
Yeah.
So.
So that's more of a testament to Scorsese.
I guess.
If anything.
And talk about needle drops. Every needle drop in the movie, like when they're doing the montage where they're tying up loose ends with the Lufthansa ice and all the bodies. I forget that song, what the title is, but
Layla.
Yes,
Layla.
Yes, Layla.
Yeah.
He's right.
Pulled that out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I usually forget
sequence.
Song names.
This movie's just so good it just implanted in your subconscious.
Well, that's the thing they always do. If you ever hear Layla in something now, you're like, the Goodfellas song.
Yeah, exactly. I associate
it's become
with
that
this movie.
now.
One of my other favorite things about this movie, well, not really about this movie, but I was talking before about how I love my kids' cartoons turning into gritty reboots. How this became the basis for an ongoing sketch on Animaniacs. With the Goodfeathers.
Oh, yeah, I saw that first.
Yeah. Which, obviously I saw that first, and then I saw Goodfellas, and I'm like, oh my god, I get it now.
Yeah. I remember thinking, I knew there were other films that Scorsese had done, so I thought all his films were like Goodfeathers, so all the jokes were going to show up, and it was just that one movie. So I'm like, oh, well.
I mean, I guess it set the tone for the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. Yeah. But it was...
I was going to say, do you want to say the one thing you did that... its legacy held up that you were able to utilize? I don't know if you want to bring that
I don't remember. I know that we worked with one of the guys that the guy that played young Joe Pesci. We worked on with a movie.
Yep. Who was also one of the thugs in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that Casey Jones beats up.
No way.
In the park, yeah. What is his name?
Joe D'Onofrio.
Joe D'Onofrio. Sorry, Joe.
No relation to Vincent.
No.
You're a good guy, yeah. He plays young Bobby in Goodfellas. That's all good stuff. The young guys were pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And he looks like him.
Yeah. Both of them look like their elder counterparts. But we also worked with Paul Sorvino's nephew.
Yes.
And we had a shot in a movie that Jeff set up to look like when Paul's chopping
the onions?
Yeah, we did the onion thing as an homage, or the garlic thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie was like 6 degrees of Goodfellas.
Yeah, a lot of people live in the area because it's a very New York film.
Right.
So we've met a bunch of the Goodfellas. I've worked with Paul Sorvino on a film, so I didn't talk to him, but like I was.
Again, that might
as
be
far
his
as Jeff
best
is for me.
performance.
Yeah,
So-
it's. I mean, it was a great movie,
Yeah.
and it's still.
He's a good guy.
Still holds up.
Paul Sorvino.
He's a good
He
fellow.
was very nice
He's
to
a good
I
fella.
was gonna go there.
I know.
I mean, you set it up. I gotta
He did.
go for it.
You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I saw what you
It
did
was-
there. It was good.
Yeah.
It was very
It
good.
was a
Oh my
nice,
God.
good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Excellent
glad. I'm
film.
glad that was our number one.
Right.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
So you say they got 13.
I got 13 points. So
Damn.
yeah.
How many people had it as their number one?
I didn't even have that on my list.
Maybe
don't
it was
like.
just me.
Yeah, I did
It
not.
was just me
I
then.
think
Because
the two
remember,
of you-
I picked based on nostalgia. I didn't see that movie till I was like 11 or 12.
Responsible parents.
still a kid.
I mean, yeah, but like at that
I
point,
was
like,
19.
but like at that point, like that's when I first saw it. But I didn't like grow to appreciate it until like second or third viewing, which was by that point like high school.
I
Yeah.
don't think I saw
Well
it.
out of the 90s.
I don't think I saw Goodfellas until college, when
Mm-hmm.
obviously like you're in film school, you
You
have
sure?
to watch Goodfellas.
I think we made you watch it to do that shot.
Well,
I'm not sure. Well,
I did that shot after college.
Yeah, true.
We shot
Yeah, I
that
guess
movie
it was
after.
right after college. wasn't
After
it?
some prodding, this guy had to watch it. From
I mean, I had to watch.
I just
don't
hadn't
know.
gotten to it yet.
I was at least college age by the time I saw it.
Yeah.
But
All right, yeah.
yeah.
I did have well, actually, before I ask you a couple other questions, I will finally, at long last, I will give you the point total you got from Poster Boy.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Oh,
we
wow.
wait,
I didn't
hang
even
on.
know
I
this.
was being graded on this.
Yeah, this
I
is,
didn't know.
the points do
God.
matter.
Like, we live in the same freaking house. I didn't even know.
Yeah. I was writing off to the side. If you watch, go
Man,
back
I
and watch.
It was blowing my
You'll
mind.
see
right
me
now.
I wish I
writing
could have
stuff
helped
down.
with the grading of
Awesome.
Jeff.
Awesome.
You
This is a
get-
surprise for all of us.
You get 5.5 points.
I feel left.
Out of
Let's say 12.
Was this based on titles and
Yeah,
actors
what
and
was
stuff
this?
like that?
You did pretty well. I made a number
How
up,
was this
honestly.
ranked?
Oh,
is this like a-
damn it.
no,
I thought
we
it was
gotta
really
do
doing
this
it.
right next time.
I actually kind of want to. I could have gone back and seen, but you did get a couple of them spot on. I know when we did, it was the
I
third.
think Ghost Daddy
the
got.
third month.
Didn't
Yeah,
you get
got-
that? I think you got
Yes.
the title.
I mean, Ghost Dad is like in a boardroom. They're like, "What is he? He's dead. He's a dad. He's a ghost dad." Yeah, so that's not too far off. And some were obvious, like the Prince one you knew was Prince. So
yeah, but I didn't know which one,
Yeah.
which movie it was.
yeah, I wouldn't have known the name of that. So, but it was fun. You made a name up. I think it was the Rucker Hauer one. You came up with the name of that movie on your own. So that got like 5 of the points right
I
there.
don't remember what
So
movie it was.
it was like
Was it the one with the
blind,
weird
blind
pos-
Fury. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure, yeah.
Oh,
No.
with the one with the possessed. Oh yeah, no, that was.
Yeah, he's a blind man and he
Blind
does
Fury.
karate.
oh, was that 1990?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like March or April, so it was a while
It
back
was
for
a
us
very
now.
long time ago.
Yeah, so I was going through to just see what the posters were because I have them all in a folder at least, but I never actually wrote down the points. So, but based on that, I mean, you guessed one title on your own with it, no prompting at all.
Honestly, it's gonna get harder into the 90s because I feel like you're probably more cognizant of the posters going to the theater.
Yes
probably.
and no. I mean, part of this was just like when we started doing that bit, it was because I don't really pay attention to movie posters.
Yeah, like
And
we
so
were doing
and especially
contemporary.
like the things that you guys pick, you guys have a way more, way deeper knowledge of stuff
feel-
that I probably wouldn't have even heard of.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
the
We'll be
movies that you
fine.
pick for Poster Boy are a little obscure because like some of them
That's
I'm
what we
looking
try
at
to
and
go
I'm just
for.
like I don't even know that.
Yeah, like Problem Child came up, and that's probably remembered by people. You just might not have known of it, which we lucked out on. I remember
Yeah.
you saying like, "I bet Jeff knows this."
Well, yeah, because it was a parody of Parenthood's poster.
Right. And I'd never seen it, but like I knew of it, and not
Yeah.
because it's an obscure movie that we sought out.
Right, and there's 2 alternate posters, so it could have been.
Yeah,
either
yeah.
one.
So we're gonna try and see if there are posters that are good that'll trick you.
Yeah.
We just want zany posters too.
We can do like the
the fun I have is you guessing what a title would be,
Right.
like in a boardroom.
people are doing like minimal posters and stuff, like minimalist posters now of movies.
It's all floating head posters now.
And,
Yeah, it's all literally the exact same.
Somebody's looking to the left
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
with a
the-
gun right here.
The same
Nicolas
type of
Cage
Drew
coming.
Struzan bouquet of people
yeah.
coming out. I saw there was some meme going around that was just like the Dark Phoenix poster, the Star Wars poster, and Indiana Jones or something.
Same color
and
scheme.
someone
So it's orange.
was just like, I still don't understand this trilogy. Because they look like the exact same poster.
Yeah. We already have 91 set up, so we know that it's probably going to be pretty good. Like, you don't know the films. They're not too obscure, though. I think some of them are well
The first one is.
The first one's well known enough. It isn't? It is obscure? I don't remember.
I've never heard of
it. I just know we went over like a month ago.
We'll get timers going on. And if any of you have suggestions, send them to... Yeah. I don't read the comments anyway, so...
Yeah, we've had like...
I don't know how to read.
Please comment. I miss interaction with people. I have a couple of questions that I was going to ask just to see how we did with like the podcast overall for the year. We mentioned it a little bit because of how we started out having different categories to cover. How do you guys feel now that we like slipped into just focusing on a film a month? Like,
I think there's a better rhythm.
Yeah. It allows us.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, so it's easier. We're adults now, so like sometimes like
I put too much onus on myself to watch the other films.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah, but you want to watch it.
Busy lives.
Yeah, I know.
But it does also let us dive deeper into one thing without being here for 4 hours.
Yeah, and maybe we'll
also
come
it's
up with
be easier
the
for you
Berlin
to
Wall
edit.
It's a lot easier.
And at the beginning we were doing hour-long videos. Now we're
trying
cutting
to
it
keep
up
them
a bit.
under,
Yeah.
So
and it's easier for the
audience.
Well, the audience, but not like that when YouTube suggests stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not jumping around
We're trying to
talking
game the
about Boris
system.
Yeltsin.
Yeah.
And if anyone has those YouTube algorithm tips, let us know.
Algorithm. That's the word I was looking for.
But yeah.
We're trying to hack the planet,
man.
man.
It's like I would like to go into... Because there is a lot of interesting stuff that happened. Just trying to cram it all into one podcast might be a little
like
difficult.
Popping up like the February episode, I brought up the Grammys just because I like awards, but like it feels weird to just like, oh, when the Grammys happened, this is what happened. So in that light, I was going to say, through this podcast, were there any performances that you liked that you sort of discovered?
It's not one that I discovered, but now that you're saying that, John Glover in Gremlins 2. Only for the mere fact that I know it was written on the page to be the villain, but by the end he's so infectious you can't help but love him. He's so affable.
Yeah. Jimmy almost had that in his top 5.
Yeah.
That was my number 5.
Yeah, he had 3 2s, Predator 2, RoboCop.
Yeah, there was a lot of sequels that I enjoyed. You know what?
Not that I remember your top 5 more than my own.
Yeah. Because I'm memorable. Not really. I would say like for like performers like Matthew Modine
from
Pacific Heights.
Pacific Heights, yeah.
Yeah, I mean like just that and like just on our own we saw like so many movies with him in it. I was just like, dude's actually like really good because like
over the pandemic we happened to watch a bunch of movies with Modine because Rebecca's showed us.
Would you watch
Vision
Quest?
my own like I thought he was like one of those like one hit wonders. He did Full Metal Jacket and that was it, and like just done. Too. Because I'd never seen him in anything since, and like
Dark Knight Rises.
Wait, what?
He's
one of the police chiefs in Dark Knight Rises.
Is he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Wait, you just blew my mind just now. But like, we'll get. Wait, he's in Dark Knight Rises, like the Batman movie.
He's the one above Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
You know how I
made catch that Batman.
You love that movie.
No. Like Pacific Heights, I made the joke that it's Batman versus Joker.
Yeah.
So now
because it's Private Joker versus Michael Keaton who played Batman. So like he was my mind is blown.
That's great.
See, I just knew him from Stranger Things. And then backwards, I had no idea until about like a week ago that he was even in Full Metal Jacket because I saw some random article popped up about about why Matthew Modine and Vincent D'Onofrio hate each other, and I'm like, and then it was a picture.
I gotta read that article.
It was a picture of him from Full Metal Jacket. I'm like, wait, what?
Wait, they hate each other?
Vincent D'Onofrio went so method in Full Metal Jacket that Matthew Modine got real pissed off, and he was just kind of sick of it because he's playing the straight man though.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Like just deal with his
even though he's
acting.
Private Joker.
Yeah,
he's the straight man.
Who's the guy that was the
Arlie Ermy?
Yeah, Arlie Ermy. I know that he was fine with D'Onofrio because he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, right,
he's like, I had people break down like this guy too. So.
Yeah, and like Arlie Ermy,
he's doing the
like,
Kubrick
he was doing his own like version of method acting,
right.
But like he was pulling from experience.
Yeah, and Modine's coming in from like theater acting, so he's just like, it's a performance. Like, calm down, Vince. Yeah. So I understand both ideas, but I think like just deal with it. It's only half the movie anyway.
Right. So, you're an actor.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with Matthew Modine though. It was good seen a bunch of his things.
Yeah.
Over the last year.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with Fred Ward though, just because he popped up in the two.
Yeah.
I know we mentioned him earlier, but I didn't know him at all. We saw him in The Right Stuff right before the pandemic started, and then we saw Tremors and I keep forgetting the name. Miami Blues, yeah. So it's cool that he was around then.
And if that movie had done better, it was based on a series of books, it would have spun off of that character.
I also noticed, like, as we went throughout the year, the movies that we were watching weren't, like, as westerny as the beginning.
Your whole thing.
My whole shtick was just kind of went limp.
Can we talk about somebody who was wasted this year? Nancy Travis.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. We saw a bunch of movies with her, Tim Robbins, Mel Gibson, Dennis Hopper kept popping up.
Nancy Travis was wasted this whole year.
Yeah.
Every movie she had a role in,
I feel bad.
It was a waste of time.
I like her in Tremors. Or was it Tremors? No, we saw her in Loose Cannons the next month.
Yes.
So I liked her in Loose Cannons, but
Air America, she was given nothing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there was our discussion after Crybaby.
Mm-hmm.
With oh my god.
What's her name?
Can't remember her name.
Mink Stoll.
No,
something.
the criminal.
Sorry.
Ricky
talk
Lake?
about something else.
No, she's not a criminal. She's criminally underrated.
That's true. Sure. I miss her talk show.
Mrs. Winterborn is
what?
An underrated film. You don't.
We'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Yeah.
It
won't be a focus.
Brendan Fraser was great.
He's underrated. He does a lot of good movies before he's
Blast from the Past.
Yeah. Yes. The Mummy, of course, but
Amy Locane.
I wonder how she's doing.
Amy Locane, lovely Amy Locane, who I found out lives like 15 minutes away from me.
Yeah, like up the street.
She out?
And we were no, she's still back in. We were going because we realized as we were talking about the podcast, I'm like, oh, maybe we can try to get like an interview or something.
Yeah.
And then I go to look it up, and I find out that she, due to whatever circumstances had happened in her past, she was in jail for a while, then was released, and then the judge then decided that she didn't spend enough time in jail and brought her back in, which that's
and this
all
was
kinds of levels of weird things.
In March last year, so who knows what's going on with her right now.
And I feel
look that up.
bad because I'm like, she's
so
okay.
Good.
Like, because she was America's Next It Girl.
Yeah, she's great.
And then she fucked up terribly, and
she was the next Iona Sky.
No, I don't know. It was just
hopefully.
Yeah, that was just another thing that we discovered through all of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Was
wherever you are,
lives.
Amy, I hope you're doing okay.
Yes.
But please
comment below.
Call one of us, and we'll set up an interview.
But other than that, as far as like underrated things, underrated premises anyway, Loose Cannons was a really ridiculous movie, but I feel like that's one of those things, like if they gave it the Miami Vice treatment and remade it as like a CBS Villain of the Week drama,
sure,
it could be really cool.
Yeah. See, that's our plan. We find these movies, mine them for ideas, and then make our own series. Don't use this against us.
Well, no, this is us copywriting it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're calling dibs.
Yeah. It's like the new Dreamhouse movie they announced. So,
yeah, why?
Well, this is what we were saying. We want to see something that was, quote, bad, that didn't do well, and improve upon it. Like if you didn't like Pacific Heights or something, make it better.
That's what remakes should be. Don't remake something that's already good.
Yeah, I remember seeing...
remake...
They just announced Dreamhouse is being rebooted, a movie from 10 years ago. That was one of the few movies I've wanted to walk out of.
I hated it's like,
perfect, make it good now. And they even said, like, in the article we read, the director didn't like what had happened and almost took his name off the project. So yeah, wouldn't you like them to have done what they wanted? Like, maybe make the film good. Right. And in the comments, someone was like, well, why would they want to do something that no one liked? It's like... to make it good, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You got a lot of idiots out there that just like they want to eat up the same crap over and over again.
That's what they were implying, I guess. So, oh well. So, in light of all these films that we watched, I wanted to ask, looking through the lens of our new discoveries, how did you feel about like the nostalgia of this and looking forward? What do you think about, like, as we're going to start remembering these from going to theaters?
There was definitely, like, because of the range of genres and stuff that we looked at, it's not exactly a nostalgia thing for a lot of them, because some of them were kids movies. Like we watched Rescuers, we watched this, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
yeah.
but then we watched like Pretty Woman and Tremors, and like it's
King of New York,
right? King of New York, and a lot of that is very like looking forward. I feel like we're either going to go even more off the wall with the concepts that come up, or we're going to fall into like some sort of, we'll narrow it down to categories within, or films within certain categories, and try to go with that and pick them off monthly or something.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is look into something that we wouldn't normally look at. Like, I will spoil, we're going to look at Boys in the Hood later in 91, so something that wouldn't necessarily be like exactly like Pretty Woman or Loose Cannons, where it's, you know, a little more diverse. So I want to do more of that.
Well, kind of like Loose Cannons, we're
genres.
gonna look at a movie that's a roundly maligned, Cool as Ice.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna see if it's as bad as its reputation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll see. I want to do more genres that we don't normally cover. Like we did a lot of two guys get into a bad situation movies. So I know that's our thing, but
And a lot of things that took place in Australia.
yeah, we did take a trip down there.
Yeah. Westerns and all.
Squiggly.
Yeah. See, it did have a western.
We did.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, we kind of just petered out from that.
Well, we didn't.
Kindergarten Cop is a guy
It's a
comes
western.
into town and has to pretend to be someone else.
He's a drifter who
the
comes to
sheriff-
town and cleans up the town.
Yeah, the
He's
sheriff died.
No, he's a sheriff that wants to find a simpler life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, he misses his son he left back east.
Before the war.
Yep. Boy, you're
It's not a
theory
too
still
much.
works.
There you go.
It's good to actually be in the same room doing this stuff, because
Yeah.
you know, everyone is dealing with the same issue of trying to do all these productions through Zoom is not exactly ideal, and we're fortunate enough that we're all healthy enough and got tested and live close enough that we can, like, you know, do stuff.
Knock on leather.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Or Pinocchio.
I'm hollow on the inside.
That
man.
is the one thing. When Corey and I were doing the old version of the Interjections podcast, which we always could go back to a little bit or do different iterations, we were thinking like Jeff
Maybe
and I had
audio
an idea
commentary.
for a podcast. We might do audio commentary next year or for other things, like a series on Ernest that we talked about.
Yes.
The thing
The
was,
Ernest retrospect.
I've always wanted to do podcasts in person, so I love being like able to see your face like next to me, rather than across
and
states.
retrospect.
So it's
Ernest goes to retrospect.
it was kind of forced upon us to have to do Zoom for the first year of this, but we'll see how it goes if we're going to continue in person or through Zoom is a good tool to use for at least this Undiscovered Decade version of the podcast.
Yeah.
So if it's a special, we could probably more easily get together now, and as things get back to normal, we'll be safer, you know.
Right.
So it is good. It's something that I've enjoyed for the last 5 years, even if it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
But
glad
I've
have
enjoyed
you
this
two-
new incarnation of it.
Yeah, I'm very happy because you two have both been guests on the old version just once in a while, whenever you happen to be around.
Yeah.
So just because I live with you or you were coming by anyway, so I'm glad you two have joined us.
Yeah.
So
Happy to be here. It's been it's been good. It's given me a reason to watch more movies, you know, that were considered classics or maybe not so.
Right.
And yeah, and it's good to be here discussing more than just what posters are supposed to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say?
No, I'm just after the debacle that happened at the beginning of 2020, where I almost lost faith in film altogether because of Doolittle.
Mm-hmm.
I think this helped me refocus, and it's nice to talk about movies I've enjoyed, as opposed to having to force myself to watch something so that we could talk about it on the podcast. But
Yeah. I appreciate that too. I think we were getting a little stale.
yeah,
Not just because it was us getting bored, but it's because movies as a whole were getting, you know, inundated with things like Doolittle, so we had to force ourselves to find something. So I also was always focusing on the new stuff, so I'm glad to finally have a chance to go back. Like, at the point we started this, I think I'd seen 18 films from 1990. Now I've seen 30.
Yeah.
So, not just for the ones that were in the month, but, like, Pacific Heights wasn't a focus. But, like, I've already sought out another film. Jimmy and I watched a film from 91 that we're going to talk about in August.
Oh, yeah.
For the August podcast. So now it's forcing us to focus on whatever year it is. And if we happen to get anything before that, like in the 80s or earlier, or 70s, even older, that's a benefit. So.
We could branch out. Like,
yeah.
Because
we've wanted to focus on filmographies of a certain person.
Well, I think the Ernest movies start in the 80s.
Yeah.
So we would have to do that.
Yeah.
We'll do a time travel episode when we go back.
Yeah.
We go back to the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know if we can only
and then
do
back
one
to the
episode.
future.
We might have to have a dual
5-part Ernest.
Yeah. How many Ernest movies are there?
A lot.
There's at least 8 that I know.
How is there not a box set?
Yeah,
well, I'm pretty sure there is a box set.
Is there?
Yeah, there's
There's also commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how he started, right?
Yeah, he started off in commercials.
Yeah, it's like Rolf.
Currently unavailable. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah. Didn't you have a couple of them?
I had Goes to Jail and I had Scared Stupid at some point.
No, that's the one we want to definitely talk about in 91.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. Speaking of which, hopefully you'll continue on with us in 91. We have a good slate coming up. Like I said, we mentioned a couple that we're going to be doing. So in about, I think, a shorter period of time, we're going to be coming up with January 91. See if we're going to be in person or not. Maybe just for these best ofs, but it's good to be together. And whether it's on Zoom or not, I think we're going to have a lot of fun as we go on for the next 9 years. So,
oh, man, I don't think I got 9 years?
What
did I sign up for?
I got to think. I don't remember signing this contract.
We're going to see.
Jeff,
at the beginning of this,
we're just two guys in a bad situation.
Oh, boy.
We're going to see how this goes. We always knew that we might not make it to the end, but at least we got through 1 year. I'm glad about that.
Interjections. Is it interjected or interjections?
Interjections.
Interjections.
Yeah.
I've been saying it wrong all this time.
Well, the whole thing was... the reason it's interjections is because when Halo 2 first came out, interjected was my username. And so it was like, these are my interjections, essentially. Because I figured my username would be like under blogs and stuff at the time.
Plus we kept talking over each other.
Yeah.
It was like a
Robert
Robert Altman film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was chaos for the first, especially the first couple that we did.
Yeah, especially even when we started.
Yeah.
So.
But no, what I was trying to say was interjections, the undiscovered decade. Just 4 good guys in a bad situation.
It's fine, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this past year, and this one in particular. If you want to rate, subscribe to our YouTube channel or Spotify, and comment on any of these, including our blog that we have. Is there anything else that we have usually that I'm forgetting?
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit the little bell icon.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
What do people say?
That's, I think, pretty much it. So.
Yeah. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we appreciate you guys letting us do this and listening and sticking around for the end of season 1.
Yeah.
Of
or series if you're in the UK.
Or series.
Yeah.
This is our year 1. We're Batman now.
Yeah. I can't wait to see how we all look in 2030. So,
hopefully
looking
better.
back on this episode.
Oh, God.
Hopefully better.
Yeah.
This camera's not flattering.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, folks.